W.M.S.T. We're going to be doing another list as we did a favorite comic top 10 favorite comic book movies list a few weeks ago, and we really enjoyed recording that video. So here is another list. Today we're going to be doing top 10 comic book villains in movies and TV shows. So we're gonna get started with Sean's list for top 10 comic book villains in movies and TV shows. So go ahead, Sean.
All right, so my list number 10 is one of my favorite villains from my favorite MCU movie, Obadiah Stane, which I think Jeff Bridges played perfectly and is one of the less talked about, but one of the, like, my opinion, one of the best villains in phase one of the MCU too. Uh, Jeff Bridges portrayed him perfectly. It fit the balance of Iron Man 1 great, and he and RDJ had amazing chemistry. Number 9 is Sandman from Spider-Man 3. I keep forgetting the actor's name who plays him. Somebody help me, lifeline. Line.
Hayden Christian Church.
Hayden Christian Church, I think is...
Or Thomas Hayden.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Okay.
I got
you.
Church.
Sandman.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Thomas Hayden Church was easily one of the best parts, or the best part about Spider-Man 3. He played a very good comic accurate Sandman, and I really wish we could have seen a lot more, but all we know is he's flying through the air after disappearing. So number 8 is a very unpopular opinion, but this goes from like childhood, but I really enjoyed Doctor Doom, Julie McMahon's portrayal. Yeah, of course, laughing. I grew up with the Fantastic Four, and Julie McMahon, even though it was a trash movie, was one of the best parts because he is one of my favorite actors. He doesn't get enough love because he hasn't done a lot of things, but I really enjoyed his portrayal of it, and that's basically what I grew up on. So whenever I see it, he's easily the best part of both movies, and he's just a fantastic actor and a great portrayal of Doctor Doom. And he even wants to play, if they're going to reboot it, he wants to play him again to get the character right, because he wanted to do so much more things, but Marvel wouldn't let him. So I feel like he has the goodwill to want to play something really cool, and it'd be interesting. Number 7 is Mysterio from Far From Home. Jake Gyllenhaal played a very, very good villain, probably one of the best Spider-Man villain movie portrayals, and just you could see like the psychoticness of him, and every part of that he was in the movie was just fantastic. 6 is Vulture. Michael Keaton was an incredible villain to have. It's the first Spider-Man standalone MCU film, and anytime I watch it, he's always my favorite part of the movie. And that scene where he's talking to Peter right outside the school, and he pulls out his gun. Oh man, just one of the best, like, just dialogue exchanges, because you get that every time, goosebumps me, because it's just, he delivers everything so perfectly. Number 5 is Green Goblin from Spider-Man 1 by Willem Dafoe. For the first Spider-Man movie to be the first mainstream Spider-Man movie to be made, he definitely was. Even though I love Tobey, he was one of the highlights of the movie. Perfectly good, insane. He added the insanity to Norman Osborn, and even like that scene where he's like having a seizure on the table, still like as a kid freaked me the fuck out. And then when he snaps up and he throws him the guy through the glass, that always stuck out to me because it was just horrifying. And where he's talking to himself in the mirror, holy shit, that's just incredible acting in front of you. Number 4 is Doc Ock by Alfred Molina. The best Spider-Man villain to date in all these Spider-Man movies, in my opinion, and to a lot of people's opinion too. Very, very comic accurate Doc Ock, even though they changed up the outfit a little bit, but they kept the nod to the eyewear. They just made it more a little bit more modern with sunglasses. The train fight scene with him and Spider-Man is the best scene in the whole movie and one of the best superhero fight scenes ever. Even Spider-Man 2 is one of the greatest Marvel movies or superhero movies ever made. Number 3 is Loki. Uh, from the start, when we were introduced in Thor, he's always been a constant favorite of mine. I was very sad. Well, not that sad, but it was disturbing to see how he was killed in Infinity War, even though I was on Team Thanos. But the one of the best, probably in the top 3 MCU villains to date, and Tom Hiddleston played him perfectly. And every scene he's in, especially in Ragnarok, is perfect. Number 2 is Heath Ledger's Joker, and I when I wanted to be in when I was in film class and I would study how to film, that's one of the main parts that I would use to study how, like, 'cause I would need to get in touch with how actors would act by cameras and stuff. Heath Ledger would be one of my main people I would look up in his portrayal as Joker. Even though I haven't seen the whole movie, I've seen uh, mainly like just chopped up bits in a different order. I just haven't had the time. Uh, it's just phenomenal and such a shame. Such a shame that we lost him, but just perfect, a perfect take on the Joker, and that is probably one of the best methods of acting, like in forever, And hopefully, Joaquin Phoenix kills it and a good send off from like a the next big thing to Joker, and something like that. But number 1 is Thanos. Josh Brolin was the perfect choice to portray him. He has the perfect voice, the perfect face for it, and the perfect he's just an amazing actor to play such an amazing villain. Thanos is the best villain in all of the MCU, not just because of how powerful he is, not just because of how amazingly played he was, just because of the whole character and a whole. I personally liked the Endgame version. Well, not necessarily. I like the Infinity War version better as a whole, but as in regards to like fighting wise, and the Endgame one was way better because it was more vicious. The Infinity War one is more of a I heard the Russo said like a lone warrior or something. Just because he's on a mission, he has to accomplish it. He doesn't want to kill. He's just trying to get to his mission until he unfortunately kills everybody. But then in Endgame, he's just straight on for killing. Um, what the Russo said about it, they could sum it up way better than I have. I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep, so I can't. But yeah, that's mine.
Sounds good. Thank you for that list. And now uh, I'll reveal my list for top 10 comic book villains in TV shows and movies. Starting off with number 10, I chose General Zod from Man of Steel. I feel like his villain is definitely one of the more underrated villains. Of course, Man of Steel was one of my favorite comic book movies ever, and I feel like General Zod, who could have been probably like a stale villain, ended up being very awesome. Like Michael Shannon's performance definitely helped. He was very convincing when he talked about how the mission and protecting Krypton was his only mission, and when that wasn't there for him, it became like he had to just destroy Earth and just go on this rampage. So he had a really good reason for going crazy, and that end fight scene with Superman was definitely a really awesome fight scene, and Michael Shannon did a really good job as the villain. And I definitely felt a lot of sympathy for General Zod, and that's something a lot of villains have a hard time getting from the audience. But I think he did a really good job with that. Number 9 is Zoom from the Flash TV show. Now, I haven't seen the latest seasons of Flash, but the first 2 seasons I saw, I really enjoyed Zoom, Eobot Thorne. Like I felt like he was definitely the polar opposite of Flash in name and both character wise. I think that's very quintessential to a lot of comic book superheroes having an exact opposite. So I really enjoyed his character, and I definitely see why a lot of people like Zoom and why a lot of people were really high on him. So definitely one of the better comic book villain portrayal. Number 8 is Lex Luthor from Superman the movie. I've always enjoyed Lex Luthor from the first Superman movie. Uh, as a kid, I was like, he's not that intimidating, but I feel like uh, his wit and smarts were really uh, good for that, especially for that time when that was the first superhero movie and they chose him as the villain, not some big CGI monster, which makes more sense. But yeah, and number 7 is Loki from Avengers 1. I mean, what hasn't been said about Loki? Uh, uh, like a lot of us have him as our favorite character and our favorite villain probably. Uh, so I mean, definitely one of my favorite villains. Avengers 1 being also one of my favorite movies ever. He was really awesome in that movie, and as a character, Loki has grown so much. I think it's been really awesome seeing his uh, development. And now we're on number 5. For number 5, I have Kingpin from the Daredevil TV show. Uh, Wilson D'Onofrio's portrayal of the character is uh, absolutely amazing. Like he's so intimidating and power hungry. It's like you ripped him directly from the comics and you just put him on the screen. Uh, it's definitely one of the best portrayals of a comic book character. Uh, and number 4, I have Bane from Dark Knight Rises. Tom Hardy's definitely one of my favorite actors, and I'm happy he's getting a chance as Venom to be part of a franchise, and he definitely deserves it, especially after uh, his performance in Dark Knight Rises, where, of course, his face was covered for the most of the movie, but he still ended up having such an expressive and awesome performance. It was absolutely amazing, and the fact that he was so intimidating, even though Tom Hardy isn't the biggest guy. Like, I mean, he's only like 5'10", and Bane is supposed to be like 6'7" and like 390 something pounds. He still ended up being so intimidating and awesome, and that voice is like so creepy and awesome at the same time. It's so yeah. Number 3 for me is Green Goblin from Spider-Man 1. Willem Dafoe is one of the best actors, and I'm so happy that we got to see him as Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1. Uh, so, and of course, Spider-Man 1 being one of my favorite movies, and his performance, felt like was one of the best, like, psychotic character studies ever. And I wish we saw more of his character because he was such a perfect casting. But hopefully, uh, we get to see him a little bit more in Aquaman in the future. All right, and number 2, you guys might be really surprised by this. It was a very tight race with number 2 and 1, but I ended up going with Thanos for number one, and you guys probably know which one is number one now. So, I mean, it's pretty much apples to oranges. I end up just putting Thanos at number two because why not? I mean, he is one of the greatest villains of all time, not just comic book villains, but like villains in general. His performance was so nuanced and awesome. Uh, and I recently saw a video that, since it's been a while since I've seen Avengers Endgame, that it really made me realize how awesome uh, he truly is. And it's one of those things where it's perfect casting and it's perfect everything. Uh, of course, Thanos being the guy who thinks he is the hero of his own story. He isn't a guy who's doing good just uh, just for himself, but he's thinking about the good of the a whole universe. And since he sees himself as the hero of the story, sometimes when you look at his perspective, the whole movie, both Infinity War and Endgame, change for you in a way. I felt like War was probably his better performance since he got more screen time in Infinity War. That was definitely his movie, and that's where he shined the most. And number one, of course, is the Joker from Dark Knight. I mean, this character has been studied for such a long time, and a lot of people who want to get into filmmaking and study how to make a great villain always go to Joker, and you could probably search up thousands of videos on YouTube breaking down this character. He's the polar opposite of Batman, and what makes him the most dangerous Batman villain is he isn't gonna beat Batman physically. He's not gonna beat Batman mentally. Heck, he's not even gonna beat him with money since he isn't looking for money. Uh, all he wants is chaos, and he knows Batman's one rule is he won't kill, and he uses that to perfection. Uh, One of the underrated scenes, in my opinion, is when he gives the people of Gotham a choice to blow up the the two fairies, where they're given the choice to either blow up the criminals boat or blow up the boat with civilians, they and that's the kind of thing Joker does. He does a lot of these sick things, and he just relishes in choices, and he makes people make the difficult choices, and that is why he's definitely one of the best villains of all time. All right. So with my list done, let's go to Ziggler now with his list for top 10 comic book villains in TV and movies. Go ahead, Ziggler.
All right. Yeah, I did not expect you to put Joker over Thanos. That was a surprise to me. So, but yeah, it's still a good list though. My list is kind of controversial, so yeah, let's just get right down to it. Number 10 for me is James Buchanan Barnes, the Winter Soldier, and Captain America, the Winter Soldier. It was just with this. I know it's not probably like not on people's list or whatever, but to me he was like so menacing and ominous when he was on screen, and the performance was it was just really cool, and that twist too. Like when I first watched Winter Soldier, I didn't know that Bucky Barnes was a Winter Soldier, so when that mask like came off and like the shade, yeah, it, the Winter Soldier would always be one of the best MCU villains in my opinion. At number 9, it is Zoom from the Flash. I forgot. Was it season 3 or 4? I don't
Three, I
remember.
think.
Yeah, season
It was
3.
2.
Yeah. When he was on screen, he just stole the show. I fucking loved him. He was so awesome. He didn't have to say a word at all. His presence just means, oh shit, something bad is gonna happen. Someone is gonna get fucked up, and it did. Whenever he was on screen, shit just hit the fan. It was awesome. Every episode that he was in that season was so good. The other episodes were like but like when he showed up, it was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And he truly was the best part of that season. And number 8 is Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. Um, this I believe he's the best Spider-Man villain in Sam Raimi's trilogy, for many reasons, just because of Willem Dafoe's portrayal of him. I don't think anyone could portray Green Goblin perfect like he did. And Willem Dafoe wanted that part so bad. He kept nagging at Sam Raimi. He just wanted that part so bad because he loved that part. And you can really see it on screen because he just made that character so awesome and just so great. So him as Green Goblin is one of the best villains in a Marvel movie today. And number 7 is Eric Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan. I don't know why he wasn't on any of yours lists, because he's one of the best MCU villains. But yeah, it's just like really like the first time in like Marvel where like you can see like both sides of things, because what Eric Killmonger wanted, like you agreed with him. You're like, yeah, this guy does make a point. It's making sense. Yeah, I agree with you. And then like, but what he was doing, like how he was doing it, was bad, much like Thanos. But yeah, it's just Michael. It just comes down to the performances. Michael B. Jordan is such a great actor, and he just made that part. He just made that part. Number 6 is Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio. Granted, I've only seen the movie once, but I loved the movie and I loved him as a villain. And yes, we all knew he was going to turn on Spider-Man, but still, it was fucking great. Everything about like his character was great. Like he like with Jake Gyllenhaal's acting, he convinces you that he's good, that he's this new mentor for Spider-Man. Even though you know he's gonna turn on Spider-Man, you still like him because he just has that quality about him. And then when he turns on Spider-Man, you're like, oh, this fucking dick. And but he's yes, he's an asshole, but he's just great though. And his story with Tony Stark being an asshole to him and stuff, and like it all makes sense. And like when he wears that mocap suit, it's fucking awesome. And with the drones, it's so cool. And number five is Heath Ledger's The Joker. Again, it's just his performance that I like. It's not really like the villain, because as a villain, I don't know. He's like not like as a villain. He's sinister, and but he's not that much of a threat though. He looks like very easy to take down, and yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't see him as much of a threat. So that's why he's not higher on the list. That's why he's very much like on 5. People have him like on 2 or 1, maybe 3, but I don't know. But definitely you can't say anything about the fucking performance, because it's the best Joker we've ever had. But it's just how Christopher Nolan, I guess, directs him and just wrote the character. I don't know. It just doesn't seem much of a threat to me. What? What?
Nothing.
Okay. Number 4 is Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, in the Flash. I want to say season 1. Yeah. No. Yeah, season 1.
Yeah, season 1.
Yeah. I really got nothing to say about this. It's just he was a great villain, and he pretty much like made the first season for me, because I started watching and it was like, all right, and then I stopped watching like probably like a year later. I watched it again, gave it another try, and Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, like really like got me hooked on it. Like, this guy is fucking badass, so I really want to see more of him. So I kept on watching, and he was so cool. He was a really great villain. And I believe he shows up like for a few more episodes after that. I can't remember, but with like the Flashpoint paradox, I think he shows up. If I'm not correct. Um, but yeah, that episode, yeah, maybe no.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and before I get to my top three, I just want to give out honorable mentions. Michael Keaton's The Vulture, Ian McKellen's Magneto, Tom Hiddleston's Loki, David Tennant's Kilgrave, uh, Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, and Jack Nicholson's Joker. Those would have been made the list if it was like top 15 or 16. I don't know how many names I just listed out, but number 3 would be Michael Fassbender's Magneto. His portrayal of Magneto is just maybe just like a hair bet. No slight to Sir Ian McKellen, but I just love Michael Fassbender's Magneto better. Him in First Class was so good. That scene in the pub, I believe, when he kills them, doesn't he kill them with like a coin? It's so not with a coin, right? Can't remember.
I
What
think
does he
it's a
kill?
coin,
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
he kills Shaw with the
yeah,
coin
yeah,
in First Class.
no, I'm talking about like his like first appearance, like in that pub when he kills those two guys.
Yeah, he's like a Nazi hunter in
Yeah, like that scene was so badass and it was so cool. And
it was kind of a nod to his Inglorious Bastards character
yeah,
too.
oh yeah. But yeah, I just love him, and I just love him in all 4 of the movies. Even if the movie is shit, like Dark Phoenix, he's still like the best part of that movie because he's such a great character. And even though he's like sometimes like an anti-hero, he still steals the scene. And not a lot of villains do that, but he's like one of like the few that steals the scene every time he's in it, and he's just great. And number 2 is Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. I, he, I, he's just so goddamn good. I mean, in every season of Daredevil 1, 2, 3, he's just. I mean, I have no words because his take on the character was so good. Every time he was on screen, he was just so menacing. He was so big too, so you just like felt, and you can see like when he like beats people up, he just fucks them up. So like when he fucked up the Punisher, when he fucked up Daredevil, and it's just scary when you see him like in the same room as like a Daredevil. You're like, oh shit, get the fuck out of there, Matt Murdock. Just get the fuck out. He's gonna fuck you up. I actually had fear that he was gonna fuck people up. Like when he walks into a room, I'm like, oh my god, like this man, this like Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin was just so goddamn good. I think he's like the greatest TV show villain of all time. I would go on record saying that he's the greatest TV show villain of all time. And like his connections with the police, with the prison, in the whole city was just so crazy. It was like, holy shit, this guy is so powerful. How are you gonna take this guy down? And we saw like the end, like in season 3, it was just so that season finale in season 3 was just so good with Kingpin. And if they're ever going to trade Daredevil and Kingpin in the MCU, you have to put Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin again. I mean, I can see no one else but him playing it because he was so goddamn good. If if they trade Kingpin in the MCU and they don't have Vincent D'Onofrio playing him, I'm gonna be so fucking pissed off because he was just so goddamn good. And now, number one, the obvious, Thanos. And I mean, what can I say that hasn't already been said? So yeah, that's my list.
Sounds good, Ziggler. Thank you for that. And let's have Tyler reveal his list for top 10 comic book villains. Go ahead.
All right, so starting at number 10, I got the villain from my favorite MCU movie. I got Hela. And like I've said before, you can understand her side of the story, how she's the oldest sibling and she has the right to the throne and all of that. I like her a lot. I've gone over her before. Number 9, I got Michael Keaton's Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm surprised you guys did not have him on your list more, but I really like him as the villain in Homecoming. The scene in the car, I think I've gone over it before on the podcast, but the scene on the car ride to Homecoming where the traffic light goes from red to green when he realizes he's Spider-Man, just the acting there is great. Number 8, we got another Spider-Man villain. This time it is Norman Osborn, played by William Dafoe. He is the best part about Spider-Man 1, easily. His acting and his performance is absolutely amazing in that movie. And that's probably, my favorite part of the movie. He's my favorite villain from that trilogy. Number 7 is yet again another Spider-Man villain. The newest one, Mysterio. He, again, like Ziggler said, I only saw the movie once. But the scenes, like the illusion scenes, those are some of the best scenes in the MCU and just comic book movies in general. And just his motives, like him being him working for Stark, and you can understand his side and why he's mad and all of that. And number 6 is from Jessica Jones, David Tennant's Kilgrave. He is the saving factor of that show, in my opinion. Like, that's the only reason I ever want to rewatch that show. I actually did rewatch it maybe a year ago or so, but he is the best part of season 1. David Tennant's performance is amazing, and I recommend that season 1 of that show just for him. And number 5 is one you guys do not have at all. Slade Wilson, or Deathstroke from the show Arrow, played by Manu Bennett. He is the best villain. He's from season 2 of the show. And if you don't know how Arrow works, basically you got flashbacks and the present day. And he's kind of a villain in both the flashbacks and the present day. You see him die in the flashbacks, and then he comes back 5 years later, which is the present day. And you're just starting to put these pieces together. And if you follow the storyline, if you understand it, it's great. I really do recommend seasons 1 and 2 of Arrow. Season 5 is also great, but season 2 is the best with Deathstroke. Number 4 is Reverse Flash, or Eobard Thawne, played by Tom Cavanaugh and Matt Letscher. I don't know how to say his name fully, but both actors are great. In season 1 of The Flash, you got Tom Cavanaugh disguised as Harrison Wells, and like, he dies at the end of season 1, but he doesn't ever really die with how time travel works in the Arrowverse. So he comes back in Flashpoint. He comes back in an episode in season 2 of The Flash, and he's even the main villain, or one of the 3 main villains in Legends of Tomorrow season 2, which is, I love season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow, and Reverse Flash just made that so much better. And if you have not watched season 1 of The Flash, you have to, just to watch Tom Cavanaugh's performance of Reverse Flash. But he's definitely my favorite villain in the Arrowverse. Number 3, I got Tom Hiddleston's Loki. I've gone over him multiple times. He's got a great character arc, going from the evil dude from the Avengers to kind of an anti-hero in Ragnarok to basically a hero in Infinity War. But his Avengers performance, Tom Hiddleston's Avengers performance, is one of my favorites. You can tell, like, his mind control from Thanos, as was confirmed later on. He's mind controlled, you can tell, and you can just see, like I just said, the character arc from Thor 1, I guess, all the way to Infinity War. And I'm excited to see what happens in the Disney Plus show, considering it's after the Avengers 1 scene from Endgame. That's a confusing sentence saying it out loud. Number 2 is Heath Ledger's Joker. Of course, this is going to be on here. I've gone over it. Interrogation scene, the highway truck Batmobile scene. I don't know how to describe that one. Everything about him is good. The two ships scene with the 2 bombs, as Syed was saying, and he's the best Joker so far. I'm excited for the new one, but he's my favorite for sure. And before I do one, which you guys all know, honorable mentions, I'll do that too. I got Mark Hamill's Joker from the animated series and also the Batman Arkham games. I got Prometheus or Adrian Chase from Arrow season 5. He made that season great. I also got Ego, Kurt Russell from Guardians 2. I really liked Kurt Russell's performance in that. Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger from Black Panther, and Dr. Otto Octavius from Spider-Man 2. But number 1 is Thanos, because he's Thanos. I like his performance better in Infinity War just because he's the main character. Endgame, yeah, I do like his character. They did a great job showing that he's kind of lazy in the 2014 time period, as shown in the Guardians. So they do a great job showing that in Endgame. But Infinity War, he just shines. His scenes with Gamora, on Vormir, and Nebula, and all of that. You guys have said a lot about him, so yeah, Thanos is number 1.
All right, sounds good, Tyler. We'll swing back to you when we reveal the overall list. And Cam, your turn to reveal the list. Go ahead.
My list is going to be a really fascinating list. Of course, they're going to have the usual suspects, but there are some that actually don't get that much mention. So we're going to start with one. I'm going to start with one that doesn't really get that much mention. Number 10 is Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman from Batman Returns. To see her character just go from innocent and shy to being the seductive and killer Catwoman is literally one of the more fascinating things about the movie, one of the better things about the movie. And usually Batman Returns is a rather 50-50 movie. Sometimes it gets love, sometimes it doesn't get that much love. I highly recommend seeing the transformation sequence where she freaks out, destroys her apartment, and basically makes her makeshift cat suit with all the stitches. It's literally one of my favorite transformation sequences in a movie. One of the best scenes in the movie also. Number 9 is Jack Nicholson's Joker from the first Tim Burton Batman movie. He was made for that role. Literally one of them. Before Heath Ledger's Joker, it was Nicholson that basically perfected the role. One of the more iconic performances in a superhero movie. One of the more iconic villain performances in a movie. Number 8 is Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. For me, he's the best Spider-Man villain. Yes, Green Goblin is one of the best ones just for the psychotic nature of Willem Dafoe and him playing the character. Basically, him putting a lot of love and attention into the performance. But I feel that Doc Ock is really a more fleshed out character. Him basically being controlled by his limbs. Number 7 is Hela from Thor Ragnarok. I actually really loved the look of Cate Blanchett as Hela. Also really liked the overall story arc, how you understand and feel for her. It's like, okay, I see how you feel. Now you can actually Now I'm kind of on your side, even though you are going to lose. I mainly just put her on here just for the look alone. Number 6, Mysterio from Far From Home. Jake Gyllenhaal stole the show in that movie. He basically stole the whole movie. I mean, that performance was just phenomenal. I mainly really liked it for not only for the performance, but also the story, overall overarching story. How it actually goes back to different movies in the MCU. Like, I understand why you're so irked and so pissed. It's actually really fascinating how you actually managed to fabricate this entire thing and actually got away with it. You heal you. Number 5 is Bane from Dark Knight Rises. He's not the most intimidating. He's not. Oh wait, hold on. He's one of the more He is intimidating, but what I really like about Bane in Dark Knight Rises is not only the voice, the look, but how smart he is. How the character just goes. How the character is basically wants to do all this anarchy, but he doesn't want to kill. Number 4 is Killmonger from Black Panther. Another instance of the villain stealing the show. Michael B. Jordan played that character to a T and actually really got into the character. Really good character, really good. Just I still quote some of the lines in the movie, like "Is this your king? So what's up, auntie?" It's just really good. And now the usual top 3 suspects. Number 3, Loki, mainly from the Avengers. Tom Hiddleston is another one of the cases of the villain steals the show, and Loki is no different. He's is one Hiddleston's basically made one of the more iconic of villains just for that movie. And I can't wait to see what he does next in the Disney Plus series, because Tyler, you did say that it follows after the Endgame time arc.
It's supposed to, yeah. Once he takes the Tesseract.
Yes. Anyway, number 2 is Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. Before there was Phoenix, there was Ledger. It's one of the most iconic and noteworthy characters in cinema. One of the greatest villains in history. What more can be said about Heath Ledger's Joker that can be said? Speaking of what more can be said about a villain that hasn't been said, number 1 is Josh Brolin's Thanos. What more can be said? Other than Infinity War is his most dominant performance.
Sounds good. Thank you for that list. And Tyler, it's back to you now. So Tyler is going to reveal the overall average list from the whole crew. So here's Tyler with the overall top 10 comic book villains list from TV and movies. Go ahead, Tyler.
All right. So we got 24 villains overall, but the top 10 is Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger. Number 9 is Magneto. 8 is Bane. 7's Kingpin. 6 is Eobard Thawne, or Reverse Flash. 5 is Mysterio. 4 is Norman Osborn, or Green Goblin from Spider-Man 1. 3 is Tom Hiddleston's Joker. And 2 is Joker's...
Tom Hiddleston's Joker.
Wait a minute. Whoa, cut it out. I'm leaving
Joker?
the call. Tom Hiddleston's Loki. Sorry, it's right by each other.
Wait a minute.
Tom
I'll
Hiddleston's
remember him
Loki.
playing the Joker in that one movie.
Wait, so Loki is number 3?
Loki's 3, yeah. My bad, they're right by each other. 2 is Heath Ledger's Joker. And yeah, 1 is Thanos.
Oh, Thanos.
Think way too well.
So the top 3 is Loki,
Loki,
Joker from Dark
Joker,
Knight, and
and
Thanos.
Thanos.
That's
So basically,
actually a really awesome list.
Here, I'll send it.
in way too low. Number 7, fuck man.
You gotta be joking me.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's the average list. It is what it is. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you like the list. Peace.
Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you liked it, please like, share, and subscribe. And click the channel for more videos and see our recent uploads and our interviews with guys like @JordanJomo from Instagram and the Wrestling Classic. Again, thank you for your support, and we'll keep on delivering outstanding content for you all. Thank you.